Hi there, welcome to Codehunters. In this video, we will learn about sequences in UiPath. So let's see what a sequence is. Sequences are the smallest type of project. We use sequences in smaller projects and the projects where the linear processing is required. Okay. The sequences can have nested sequences, which means you can have sub-sequences inside a sequence. The key feature of the sequence is they can be reused as a standalone or can be reused as a part of flowchart or a state machine. So let's jump into the UiPath and see sequences in action. Here now I am in UiPath. I will first create a process. Let's name this as sequences. I will save it in the default location and in the description I will give the same as sequences. And let's click the create button. But it's always a good idea to provide a meaningful description to the process. Now the project is created and we can open the main workflow by clicking here. First we need a sequence. It is already in the favorite section in the activity panel. Also, if you want, you can search for sequences, drag and drop this sequence to the design area. So this is a sequence and this acts as a container to the other activities or sequences. We can drag any activity inside this sequence. I will drag a message box here and type a message. I can also drag another sequence inside this, and this is called nested sequences. So let's go ahead and create a simple process. We will ask a user some questions and keep the answers to some variables and display them using a message box. First, let me delete these as I don't need them anymore, except the first one. Also, it's best practice to rename the sequences, which will help you to identify the sequences or activity in the later time. So I will rename this sequence as main, as this will hold all my other sequences. Now let's search for the input dialog in the activity panel and drag and drop it here. Let's drag another. Now it's time to check what are the properties that this input dialog has. First is the password. We can check this checkbox if we want the user's input in a masked text like password. Second is label. This is the question or the text that is displayed to the user. Next is option. It can be used to create option buttons or checkboxes. Then the next is the title. This is the title of the input box. Then the last property is result. This will hold the response from the user in a variable. So let's set the property. In the label property, let's type what is your name. As you can see, it needs a string type, so we are adding double quotes around our question. In the title property, let's type first question. Click OK. Now in the result property, we will press Ctrl K to create a new variable, and let's name this str name to hold the response from the user into this variable. If you come and check the variable pane, you can see the variable is already created and this is a string type. If you want, you could have first come into the variable pane, create the variables here and use the variable in the result property here. Also, we will rename the dialog as first name. Now for the second dialog, we will ask where he is from. So in the label property, we will type where are you from, and in the title property we will type second question. And in the result we will press Ctrl K to create another variable and we will call it as str location. And we will rename this input dialog as location. Now we have got the responses from the user and we will display the results in a message box. Let's search for the message box here in activity panel and drag the message box here. And let's type hi followed by str name, followed by is from plus str location. It's done. We can now debug it. So it is asking user, what is your name? Let's give the name as David and press OK. And now it's asking his location. Where are you from? Let's type India. And you can see, hi, David is from India. This is a simple sequence. Now let's bring another sequence inside the main sequence. So let's search for sequence in the activity panel and drag and drop into here. And now let's move all the activities inside this sequence. And rename this sequence as getting input from user. And we can collapse it to see it's a nice and clean workflow we have. Here you can see it says 3 actions and double click to view. Either you can double click to view it. So once you double click, you can see all the 3 activities that were inside this sequence. You can navigate to your sequences using here. This is like a breadcrumb in a website. And also you can expand it here to see all the activities inside the sequences. Now we will take this process a step further and check if the user is from India or not. To check that, we will need the if activity. So let's search for the if activity in the activity panel. And let's drag and drop inside the main. You can see if activity has 3 parts. First, the condition. It expects a VB expression. We can provide the condition here, and based on the condition, it will either move into the then part or into the else part. So let's put the condition as str location is equal to India. And in the then part, let's drag and drop the message box and type str name plus is from India. And in the else part, let's drag another message box here and type str name plus is not from India. Now let's debug this workflow. So it is asking the user's name. So let's give it Ankit and press OK. And it is asking where are you from. Let's give it is India and press OK. Now the output is showing Ankit is from India, and this message box is from this sequence, this getting input from user sequence, this one. Okay, it has not yet reached into this if condition and in the then part. So here you can see that it is running one by one in a linear fashion. So let's click OK. And now it says Ankit is from India. And this message box is from the then part of the if condition, because this condition is matched. Okay, now let's press OK and the execution has completed. Now let's debug it one more time. And this time let's give the name as John. And the where from the location, let's give it Australia. And it says hi, John is from Australia. And it says John is not from India. This message box, the else part, from the else part. Now you have seen how we can use sequences in our processes to create workflows. To reuse on any part of this sequence, you can just copy and paste any of these sequences and paste it wherever you want, and this can be reused. So this brings to the end of this section. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.